All right, Kevin, you are now up to provide proper testimony, and welcome, and proceed when you are ready.
Thank you, Chairman Kloppenstein and members of the committee, representatives. Appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I further want to thank you even more for allowing Director Baldridge to go first and give that whole entire history and explain some of the questions that you posed to him. So my name is Kevin Wieging. I was a member of the industry for over 30 years. Currently, I am representing IOA, which is the Inflatable Operators Association. IOA was formed back in 2017 when there was a review done of this fee structure, and back when Representative Cupp was in office. God bless him. He did a lot for the industry and listened to a lot of what we wanted to have done. And he did do some great things that appointed two individuals that previously weren't part of the committee to represent the inflatable industry. That was done in about 2018 with a bill introduced by Representative Cupp. So at this time, I would like to provide a brief history of my experience starting there with the inflatable amusement industry and working here in Ohio. My company was established in 1990 and successfully operated until 2021, primarily focusing on rental of inflatable amusements. I also served as a task group chair on the ASTM F2374 Standards Committee for the revision of the current inflatable amusement standards, which was completed back in 2014. At that time, the standard for the inflatable amusements was a 3-page document, and at that time there was a national committee formed and took that from a 3-page document to, at present time, I believe 37 pages. So dramatically increased the focus of what was in there. And I continue to be active on that committee. The last ASTM F2374 standards were passed in 2024. So that would be ASTM F2374-24. The 24 represents the year that it was updated. So it's continually looked at and updated. I have also achieved my NARSO Level 1 Amusement Ride Safety Inspection certification in 2022 and continue to maintain a presence networking and representing the amusement ride safety as a presenter at the PA Ride Safety Division for their annual licensing. And I also present at NARSO, Ames, and now represent the IOA for the industry as well. We've actually organized an F2374 training program that we offer to people within the industry, inflatable industry, so that they can operate more safely. NARSO and Ames are industry organizations for safety, and as a testament to Ohio's commitment to safety, we have several of our inspectors on that, and I can tell you that Ohio's program, in my opinion, is second to none. With safety in mind, safety is what they focus on, and they do a great job at what they do. So, at this time, I exited my role in 2021 and continued to understand the challenges of Ohio business owners facing to remain successful and manage the fees associated with the state of Ohio process for compliance with licensing and inspection for these types of attractions. The new formula proposed for the inspection of inflatable amusements, along with the reduced licensing fee, better matches the structure necessary for small businesses renting these types of units so that they can be successful. To be honest, the annual cost of state compliance and licensing fees was a strong contributing factor to me exiting the industry. I had the opportunity to sell my company. I also had some health concerns that I went through, some open heart surgeries, so reducing stress was probably primarily focusing on myself, a selfish thing to say, I need less stress. And I care about this industry, and that's why I'm here today. I've got less stress, but I'm still passionate about what happens in the small businesses I used to fight with. So let's briefly discuss the cost of purchasing an amusement ride. A standard bounce house or inflatable amusement type slide, obstacle course, or similar vinyl construction unit is roughly $3,000 to $5,000. And traditional carnival rides, steel construction, pneumatic, hydraulic or mechanically driven larger units that require assembly and transportation via a larger semi-truck easily require an investment of over $100,000. The vinyl inflatable takes 15 minutes to set up, and the larger mechanical unit generally requires hours of setup. And to that, as does the inspection process. The current fee structure establishes a flat rate for inspections of different types of amusements that does not equal nor represents the actual time necessary for physical inspection. Larger mechanical amusements rides with swing, slide, or rotating mechanical function, and I'll use teacups as an example, or a traditional carousel, fun fiberglass slide, all of those as examples. These types of equipments are currently assessed the same fee structure for licensing and inspection as inflatable amusements. Inflatable amusements, talking about a bounce house, talking about maybe a slide that you slide down. They're largely constructed of vinyl material, and they are inflated by a blower, but primarily not mechanical units that require that amount of time for inspection. In fact, a new unit could possibly be 15 to 20 minutes to inspect and carries the same fee as a ride that's maybe 3 or 4 hours, potentially 2 days. So, based on the fee review conducted by ODA, the time related to inspection has been determined to be less, and the administrative costs associated with the license were also recommended to be reduced based on the 2024 Ohio Department of Agriculture Ride Safety Division study. And again, I thank Director Baldridge for explaining a lot of that ahead of me. So, this type of equipment and the business models are simply too different to be included in a single classification. That's where the classifications were studied, and an allocation of cost was assigned based on the amount of time it takes to actually carry out the tasks to safely inspect something and make sure it's ready for use. Most inflatable amusements are frequently used for private events such as birthdays, schools, churches, or small carnival events, with a business choosing to invest in multiple units to meet the demands of the theming or event requests from customers. And the current fee structure actually for both units for annual inspection is $329 for that mechanical unit and the inflatable type units. There is no difference. It's a flat fee of $329. Some may take 3 days to inspect. One might take 15 minutes to inspect. So, as an example, coming up on Halloween, a bounce house that may have a limited seasonal use of 2 or 3 times in the next couple weeks is assessed a fee of $329. And it makes offering these types of units in Ohio relatively unreasonable if you're a company, and the typical rental of these units is $350 to $450 per unit, and the reduction to the licensing fee required by the Ohio would allow businesses to really have a realistic chance to possibly continue renting those type of units because they can get a return on their investment as a small business. Currently, being assessed a $329 inspection and licensing economically prevents you from making money on a seasonal unit. So I only bring that up as an example. Referencing the 2024 study that Director Baldridge kind of went in depth on, the Ohio Department of Agriculture created a task group led by David Moran to study the fee structure, and when completed, the task group developed the current proposed fee structure being proposed in House Bill 433. It was based on the actual time it took to do the inspections. There was no arbitrary formulas used. It was a study looking back over the last couple years and actual real-time work done, and how can we net neutral, keep the safety of our programs, and help the small businesses that need some fee reductions. In the last committee meeting of October 3rd, 2025, Mr. Moran indicated that ODA continues to support the revised fee structure and that the bill provides for a predictable and sustainable fee structure for the current Ohio Amusement Ride Safety Program. I do know through internal knowledge here and stuff as well, Tammy Chapman will give testimony, and she actually served on that committee as a representative of the inflatable industry. I myself was nominated to the committee through President Huffman when he was serving in the Senate and represent the industry through my volunteering to the committee as well. The revision and reclassification for the differences between mechanical and inflatable amusements would provide significant relief to many of the inflatable amusement small businesses continuing to operate. It would help them operate successfully. They would be able to provide seasonal units for rent and continue to offer a variety of themes that were designed for birthday parties and, the example we provided in Halloween. The reduction of fees for inflatable inspection and licensing would make purchasing themed equipment easier for businesses to maintain reasonable pricing for customers as well. Again, we deal with birthday parties in the backyard, and I'm sure you all have grandchildren, maybe children of age that are having a birthday party, and you want that top of the line, best looking, better birthday party than what was thrown last week. And we care for our kids and we want to give them the best. That's how these businesses function differently. You might have 10 bounce houses of different themes on your shelf as a rental company, and if you're required to get all 10 of them inspected at $329, it discourages getting the equipment that you need to provide those themes in a fashion that parents are requesting. Whereas a $100,000 ride may go to a carnival, may go to a festival, and it's set up one time and used there. You don't need 10 of them. So that's where the industries differ a little bit and stuff as well. So I thank you for the time. I thank you for being able to present in front of you today. This has been a long time coming. IOA is a grassroots efforts organized by members of the industry. I'm not a paid lobbyist. I'm not a lobbying group. We are here to basically fight for the small businesses that we do business with daily. So thank you. I will entertain any questions that are there.
Well, thanks for being here today. And questions from the committee, Representative Barhorsch.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Kevin, for your testimony and time today. Just so the committee knows, I've known you for about 2 years, and I've heard your stories about how long you've been working on this. So congratulations for getting to this point. But I think the committee could benefit from you telling that timeline of how long and how close you've gotten at different times and how different personnel changeovers have disaffected you a little bit on this. And being a former operator and now just representing industry and giving back, I commend you for that. Then if you could do that and also tell us where these inspections take place. Are you allowed to set up your equipment and your inflatables at your storage unit, your warehouse, your place of business, and have them gone through in one fell swoop per se? Just what does that look like? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Representative Barhorst. And I guess thanks for acknowledging you know me and still. As far as the timeline, I've been active in this industry since 1990. Initially, when I started business, there was no regulations that pertain to the inflatable amusements. That was just through discretion absorbed into the program. I would say probably in about 1995 to 1998, where inflatables actually were even considered amusement rides for inspection. They were just absorbed and arbitrarily just decided, well, we're going to start licensing these. So that's when I started to get more involved with the inspection process to understand it, understand what the state provided to businesses. And then in 2017, again in 2014, we started the ASTM review, which is a national standards committee recognized for litigation and anything that would happen within our industry. They always were referred to ASTM F2374 for our industry. In about 2017, I was successful in working with Representative Cupp in presenting a bill that he had sponsored on our behalf of the industry. And at that time, there was no adjustments for inspection. It was based on a calendar year. And as an example, if you got inspected today or November 1st, it was still, we'll say $329 is the current fee. It was still $329. And on January 1st, you had to repay that same fee. And where did that extra time go? Nobody knew. Nobody could explain it. It just evaporated. And then you had to pay for it again January 1st. But you got the full year's advantage of it. So that was a difficult thing to deal with. Representative Cupp has presented that and got that changed. So now it's on an annual basis. If you're inspected in June, it goes till June of 2026 or 2027, depending on when you're doing it. So that was a positive change. At that time, there was no representation of the inflatable industry to the committee, Ride Safety Committee, and 2 people were appointed to that committee from the inflatable industry. There was also supposed to be an independent review done of the fee structure at that time, and it wasn't to exceed $105, which was the current fee at that time. And that came back as part of that bill in response to be $104. So there was an adjustment made. I question the validity of the study at that time, but I'm not here to criticize what's happened in the past. Now, coming up, we had a department that took a look at it very seriously, did the work, had industry experts and data from the last 5 years that they were able to study and do a net neutral impact on the department to maintain safety, but allocate the proper amount of time and a proper cost for that time. And that was then set forth in the study that was provided last year and recommended by the committee. So I feel like I'm getting long on that explanation. So if there's any other questions, please let me know. But that's the timeline. This has been reviewed for probably over 20 years. That makes me feel old, but yes.
Follow-up?
Yeah, and then just that second part of my question was, what does that look like when you get inspected? Is it on your property, at your warehouse, at your place of business, and they go through them like systematically, quickly, or is it random and just a lot of work and extra time because it's not all done at once?
Thank you, Representative Barhorst, and to the chairman. The process is determined by the owner of the inflatable amusement rides. It does vary. You can do it at your property. That somewhat escalates the cost because you've got the labor involved with rolling these things out, setting them up. Sometimes it may take, in my opinion, I had over 100 inflatable amusements. My cost of compliance was over $40,000 a year, and the cost of labor just to roll all of those things out and get them inspected for the 15 or 20 minutes that they were looked at was probably $10,000 or $12,000 in labor. So with that, you could do it on your own property, get them all done, stroke a relatively large check, and pay for them all at once. With the change to the structure where you could do it on an annual basis, we distributed them throughout the year, so it wasn't a big cost impact in one time. And the department does have the authority to go out based on itineraries that you file and re-inspect or inspect on site where you're set up at an event. And sometimes they choose to do that. Sometimes these events are on weekends, obviously, and we have some great inspectors, but they can't work 24/7, and they do a good job at following up on that. So,
Follow-up?
So are you satisfied with the flexibility that's in this bill to let an operator coordinate with the regulatory body to get these inspected? Is that to give the industry enough flexibility?
yes, and essentially that whole process has not changed. What was really the critical part of the previous regulations was how the amusement ride fees were distributed. If you took an inflatable bounce house and you charge $329, and it essentially takes 15 minutes to inspect it, and that's been documented by operators. But then you have a more mechanical unit that takes 3 days, and it's still charged the same at $329. Some of these small business, and myself included, felt that like we were being taken advantage of, and we were subsidizing a larger industry that potentially was making billions in profits through larger amusement operations, and some of these small businesses were struggling to make $100,000 in profits to be able to do that. So I'm happy with the process the way it is. It's just the cost structure that was reallocated, and I think that was fair.
Thank you.
Representative Cockley.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your testimony today. Does this bill address the difference between time it takes to inspect new rides versus older ones? So for example, if it's $4,000 for a large roller coaster, whether it's 1 year old or 10 years old?
Representative Cockley, Committee Chair. To answer that, it's a flat fee. I don't know that it's not based on an hourly structure or hourly cost. So a new unit will, in most times, take less time. A more aging unit may take more resources. So it just speaks to safety. Safety is, I don't know that you can put a time on safety. It just has to be done. If it takes 3 days, it has to take 3 days. If it takes 15 minutes, it can take 15 minutes. I think the biggest disparity in the time it takes is it a high thrill ride, mechanical piece, a mechanical roller coaster that takes 2 weeks to inspect, or is it a non-mechanical vinyl construction bounce house or inflatable amusement that generally takes 15 to 20 minutes?
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming today, and thanks for your testimony.